Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to the Mr. Clutch Sportscast. It is I, your humble host, Mr. Clutch, and as promised, today is Midseason Predictions Day for Major League Baseball. We're not quite to the halfway point yet, but we're getting pretty close. And these predictions are because I didn't make a predictions video back in March when this should have been done. Usually this would be the point where I would update those predictions, how they're doing, how well they're faring. I will tell you right now that some of my predictions that I thought about in my head almost 2.5 months ago would have flopped big time. We'll get to those as we go along. I think to start with, though, we'll head over to the American League West. It's one of two most predictable, semi-boring divisions in Major League Baseball right now. For the division winner, I'm going to pick the Houston Astros, just because they're the Houston Astros since 2015, 2014. I mean, they're dominant, doing really well, as always. They've got one of the best records in baseball, and that is due to, in part, a really subpar division. The Mariners have tanked dramatically. They play in the same division. The Angels, the Athletics, the Rangers. Rangers have been trending up, but still, they're not very... If they're not below 500, they're not very far above 500 baseball right now. The Astros are like 20-some-odd games above 500. They've got good hitting, great pitching, pretty good bullpen as far as I know. So yeah, that's division winner for the American League West. That, I promise you, that would not have changed from March to now. I just no. Let's head over to the American League. I'm trying to pick which one I should go with, the Central or the East. Let's go with the Central. So this is one of those times that my prediction would have flopped. I mean, who would have seen the Twins being almost, I think they actually are still 20-some-odd games over 500. That's unreal. C.J. Cron, Nelson Cruz, Jonathan Scope, all of these guys have been huge for them. Big free agent signings in this last offseason, as well as Max Kepler and Eddie Rosario, those guys stepping up. They lead the major leagues in home runs, which I don't know how much weight you want to put in that when it comes to the postseason, but it's pretty good. I mean, it's impressive, So there's that. They've got pretty good starting pitching. Their bullpen is one of the best. Obviously, we've been over good offense, and the rest of the Central is really subpar. I mean, the Indians are the next best team, and they're sitting at right around 500. I think they're starting to heat up, so they're I think 3 or 4 games over the 500 mark right now, but the Royals suck, the Tigers suck, the White Sox don't suck as bad, but earlier this season they sucked. So this is easily the Twins' division to win or lose should something happen and they just start to tank. I don't see the Indians catching up to them. I really don't. So, and I think they got a shot for the number 1 seed in the American League, which would mean that they start every postseason series except for the World Series at home. The World Series will be decided later. I think World Series home field advantage is decided by the All-Star game. So, there's that. Now to the East. This is an interesting division just because right now the Red Sox are coming back. They're starting to get hot. The Yankees are slipping. They've lost 4 out of 6 or something. 3 out of 5 maybe. The Rays are still very well in the mix. They're still right behind the Yankees. The Red Sox are coming up. Buckle up, because this one's going to be a tight one to the end. This is another one where my prediction would have flopped. I would have said the Red Sox. I probably would have said the Red Sox win the division, but the Yankees keep it close. Now, here in June, I'm going to say... this is tough. I'm going to say the Yankees win the division just because once they get Giancarlo Stanton back and Luis Severino, should he come back? He's supposed to come back after the All-Star break, I believe. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that. Aaron Judge, once he comes back, I mean, it's like I said in another video. I think it was the buy or sell American League trade deadline edition. The Yankees have played really well with like 14 of their starting 25 on the injured list. They've just been pulling names out of hats, and they've all, for the most part, produced. And now with Aaron Hicks back, with Didi Gregorius coming back yesterday, he was just activated off the injured list. Things are going to start to look up with Gleyber Torres and Didi in the middle there. Aaron Judge is going to be coming back soon. Giancarlo Stanton going to be coming back soon, from everything I hear. They've got some work to do, but I think the Yankees, they win the division. I don't think they'll be in contention for a number 1 seed in the American League. They might get close to it, but I don't think they get it. I think overall seeding in the American League for the divisions is going to be number 1, Houston Astros. I think, like I said, in that division they're playing in, they're going to win a lot of games. I think they're probably the best team in the American League. They're definitely the most balanced offensively. Number 2 would be the Minnesota Twins. One thing that concerns me with the Twins is how much they rely on the home run. They've got, I heard a stat just a couple minutes ago, over 120 home runs, which is the best in the American League. And for the regular season, that's good. But in the postseason, you're going to be facing a lot better pitching. You're not going to get as many pitches. You can just groove out 450 some odd feet. You're going to have to be patient. You're going to have to fight for pitches. So that's one thing I am concerned with for the Twins. And then the number 3 seed would be the Yankees. I think, like I said, getting all their injured players back will help them get across the finish line. And that could be all they need. Who knows? For the wild card, Tampa Bay, they're going to lock it up easy. They've had a really nice season. At one point earlier in the year, they were in first place in the American League East. And I think they've done enough damage so far that I think they've got a game plan. They're working with it. They've got a fantastic bullpen. They use the opener strategy where they don't have a set starter, at least not all the time. They've still got Charlie Morton. They've still got good pitching because they got Blake Snell, American League Cy Young Award winner last year, Charlie Morton, who's been borderline amazing over the past couple years with Houston and now with Tampa. And before he got injured, Tyler Glasnow, but he's not done for the season, so he'll come back. That's a pretty good starting three. And then their offense has been really good as well, with seemingly nobodies. And I think that's what carries them over. Their offense continuing to do what they do. They don't rely a ton on the home run either, so I think that gives them a leg up. Second wild card spot. I'm gonna do something that's probably not gonna be on everyone's radar, but I'm gonna pick the Texas Rangers. I think they're gonna do just enough to get into that second wild card spot. I don't know. There's something about this team that they're getting hot. They're doing a lot of the right things. Their starting pitching has been pretty good. Their offense is pretty good as well, especially when you have Joey Gallo in there, who's turned a corner this year. He's no longer a 200 hitter. Before he got injured, I think he was hitting 275 in that neighborhood, which is really good for him. He's drawing more walks, striking out less, and this team is stringing together some good wins. So I think in a crowded American League wildcard race, they're gonna come out on top. They're gonna do just enough. Now let's head over to the National League. By the way, before we get too far into the National League, next week, probably next Saturday, I will be doing mid-season, postseason predictions. And that's where I take all these picks, where they're seated, everything like that. I'll make a note on the phone. And we'll break down who moves on to the World Series, pretty much, and who wins it. So, now that that's all said and done, National League, we'll go in the same order. We'll start with the West. Dodgers win the West for the 8th straight year. I see no real threat for the division here. Their pitching is amazing. Bullpen and starting. Yeah. Honestly, I might have said this a couple years ago, or maybe last year, I don't know. Probably both years, to be honest. But I think this could be the best Dodgers team in several years. Cody Bellinger is on blazing hot fire. Even though he's cooled down a little bit, he's still hitting really well. Playing really good defense. Corey Seager starting to heat up. Justin Turner's heating up as well. He is battling a hamstring injury, but it's not inhibiting him so much that he can't play at all. They just have to give him regular days off, or rather more scheduled days off. Their bullpen is phenomenal. Their starting pitching is pretty darn well near unstoppable. Hyun-Jin Ryu, Clayton Kershaw, Walker Buehler, Rich Hill, Kenta Maeda. Plus, you've got Julio Urias and Ross Stripling in the bullpen. They've started before. So, there's that too. I mean, plus their offense is super balanced as well. They can do it anyway. They can play small ball. They can go yard. They've got literally, I think 1 through 8 can go yard. The reason I don't include 9 is because pitchers have to bat in the National League, and I don't think any of the Dodger pitchers can go yard. But Some of the Dodgers pitchers can hit. Kenta Maeda, I've seen get a couple hits this year. Hyun-Jin Ryu has gotten some hits this year. Clayton Kershaw and Rich Hill, I don't think have a hit. I'm not sure if Walker Buehler has a hit or not. Excuse me, but that's besides the point. They're really good. I think they get the National League West for the 8th straight year, and I think they get the number 1 seed. They are the best team in the National League right now. I think they continue that trend. Now let's move to the Central. Breaking news, by the way, earlier in the week, I believe it was Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening, the Cubs signed closer Craig Kimbrell. That helps them out a lot. That answers the closer question. It's no longer, okay, flip a coin, heads is Pedro Baez, tails is Steve Cishek. No, it's Craig Kimbrell now. I think that helps them out a lot with the offense the way that it is. Again, nice balanced mix with Rizzo and Bryant heating up after unusually cold starts. Javier Baez doing his thing. The starting pitching doing pretty well. Not perfect, but, well enough to hold their own. I think they do enough to eke past the Brewers in the Central and win the division. This is going to be another one of those races where it's tight and there's going to be more than 2 teams, because I think the Cardinals have a realistic shot. The Brewers are in first place right now, so they definitely have a realistic shot. The Cubs are, I think, a game, maybe 2 back of the Brewers. So it's at least a 3-team race. If Pittsburgh heats up, you're looking at 4 teams. And Cincinnati is not unbearably awful this year. So I don't think Pittsburgh and Cincinnati will be in it at the end. But at the moment, realistically, there's a shot. But yeah, I think the Cubs, in signing Kimbrell, that pretty much cements their bullpen, which is also pretty good. It went from pretty good to pretty good with a lockdown closer, which, I mean, that makes all the difference in the world in close games. Yeah. I do think there's going to be at least one wildcard team that comes out of the Central, but we'll get into that after we tackle the National League East, the division that was supposed to be Superman's division, meaning that everybody was supposed to be awesome, and that's not the case. Miami was not supposed to be awesome, which I think they're playing some of the best baseball right now, which is weird, but whatever. New York is not amazing. The Mets are not amazing. The Washington Nationals are not amazing. The Atlanta Braves are getting better, but they're not there yet. The Philadelphia Phillies are the best team in the East right now. I'm torn whether to pick the Phillies or the Braves. The Phillies are in an interesting predicament. They've lost Andrew McCutchen for the year with an ACL injury, but they just traded for outfielder Jay Bruce. Going back to an episode I made earlier this week, NL trade deadline game, buy, sell. You should go watch that. The whole Bryce Harper thing, I mean, they're just in an interesting spot. I'm gonna be a little. This is a tough division to pick. Not because there's like 3 or 4 teams, but because this division was so hyped up. And so everybody's expectations were way up here. And now that we're in the middle of the season, and no National League East team has hit 40 wins yet. Everybody's reality is like down here. That's a pretty big difference. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to go with the Atlanta Braves because also breaking news, just last night, the Atlanta Braves signed Dallas Keuchel. 1 year, was it $13 million? I don't know. 1 year, somewhere between $13 and $15 million. By the way, the Craig Kimbrell deal, 3 years, $43.5 million. Steal in my book. Also a steal. Dallas Keuchel to the Braves. Helps their starting pitching out, which I said also in an episode earlier this week. That will straighten itself out. This will help hasten that process. I like their offense. Freddie Freeman is unreal right now. Riley Reed has a pretty good shot if he stays healthy, and if he stays, even half as good as he is right now, he's got a pretty good shot of winning the National League Rookie of the Year. Ronald Acuna Jr., who doesn't like Ronald Acuna Jr.? Dansby Swanson is turning a corner in terms of offense. He's always been a pretty good defender, or at the very least, above average. But he's turned a corner offensively. Josh Donaldson has been one of their under-the-radar signings this last offseason. So I think the Braves, if they can get hot and their starting pitching works itself out, their bullpen is pretty good. They might want to get a guy for the bullpen during the trade market season. But if they can do that, if they can get hot, I believe that they can and will overtake the Phillies for first place. But again, it's going to be tight. Really, any division that doesn't have the word West in it is competitive and is up for grabs. Well, minus the AL Central. But, yeah. So, let's go to NL wildcard teams. The Milwaukee Brewers, I believe Josh Hader in that bullpen. Yeah. Christian Yelich being unreal right now. Yeah. Their starting pitching is okay. It's been pretty good throughout the year. Their bullpen has been, I believe, pretty good throughout the year. Their offense has been good enough. I mean, Christian Yelich has pretty much carried the freight, but that's been enough, I guess. But I truly believe that they're going to get into the wild card. They're going to host the wild card game. They'll lock up that first spot. And I think they'll win the wild card game, but that's, like I said, next week. Now this is tough because the seeding would go Dodgers. I'm going to say Cubs. I'm going to say Cubs lock up the number 2 spot. And then Braves. Wild card would be for Milwaukee. This 5th spot is hard to fill because you've got the Philadelphia Phillies, you've got the St. Louis Cardinals, this is difficult. If they get really hot, the Colorado Rockies, and if they get really, really hot, the San Diego Padres. You know what? I kind of gypped the Phillies on the division. So I think despite their interesting predicament, I think they get the pieces that they need. They finish strong, and they get that second wild card spot to set up Brewers versus Phillies in the wild card game. National League wild card game. That is it for these mid-season end of the year predictions, I guess. Like I said, next week, probably Saturday, will be the postseason predictions. So stay tuned for that. If you like this video, please hit the like button. Give me a thumbs up. Be much appreciated. Also, comment down below whether you disagree or agree or have questions or comments. Cool. Hit me up down below. Also, subscribe. Hit that little bell also. Make sure that you get notified every single time that I post a video. I will see you guys next week. Thank you for watching. Until next week, stay clutch, people.